Over on the red side in this game, we have Amber T and Putin, who make up RKKA. Over on the blue side, we have Razman and Nandemann, who make up Nandemann. And this is another D-Day in Paradise. So are you ready, Val?
I am definitely ready for this one.
3, 2, 1, go. Please take us through the decks.
And a slight miracle has occurred. Razman is playing Commonwealth Mechanized instead of Commonwealth, so all the other decks are the same, except Razman has a different deck. So we see variety in this game. So Razman has the Commonwealth Mechanized, Nande has the NATO Motorized, Amber T has his Eastern Bloc Mechanized, and Putin has his USSR deck. Interestingly, actually, Razman's deck and Nande's deck both have D-Day in their name, so these are definitely decks made specifically for D-Day.
That's crazy, man.
Oh my god, it's almost like they made decks specifically for the map, but it's kind of interesting because a lot of the time you see people, like for example, the decks that we're seeing on the red side are most likely general decks that use the same units anywhere. But Razman and Nande have gone for a specific mix of units in this game. And the Challenger Marksman's the best unit in game.
I think that's awesome. I think that's something that definitely needs to be done as well. Like, you can't... I think when you break down Wargame Red Dragon to, like, the smallest level like that, having a deck specific to every single map is, like, so optimal that it's basically stupid not to in competitive play, in my opinion. Yeah, of course, some decks can fit multiple maps. Of course, I mean, there are decks that people would consider the best decks, but in my opinion, having decks specifically suited to specific maps is actually something that's quite a good idea, because then you're never going to have any wasted cards. Like, going back to what we were saying previously about your, what was it? You were
card
saying,
efficiency.
Yeah, card efficiency. It's definitely something that comes into play when you make a deck for a specific map. There's even more card efficiency than you were going for before. But anyway, let's continue by looking at some of these units. So, do you believe they will go for a similar tactic on the blue side?
I think so, but actually, I think there might be a little difference, because I think a Commonwealth mech deck is more suited for attacking in the bottom side by Echo and Alpha. Now, again, we could just still see a duo push in the top. That seems to be actually pretty common, because even back during the Reddit 3.3 on this map, we usually saw skirmishes in the bottom mid side and big pushes in the top side. Because again, you have so much kind of forest to play with on this top side, and then you have the interspersed forest on the bottom side as well. But there's also a very safe road you can bring your reinforcements up. Not to mention it's not too far from Foxtrot either. So, you know, it really does lend itself to being pushed, I think, especially, you know, with a player like Nande, who loves his motorized and is very good with that. It's very, very effective at pushing really quickly to Hotel.
Yeah, I think I'm also interested to see if Amity and Putin actually put up the same sort of defensive line as they had before, because it sort of acted like a springboard, and it was really like well done. They sort of held back in Hotel on purpose, because you saw at the beginning of the last game they played against Nandemann that they did put pings, purposeful defense pings in Hotel, and then sort of had like a diagonal line across Hotel towards Gulf, and then defended at Alpha using the houses below Gulf and at the Alpha sector itself. So I think that was really good from them, but I think it definitely worked out well because of the double prong attack into Hotel that they could then reinforce pretty easily. But if, for example, Razman goes ahead and attacks from Echo to Alpha now, it's going to be a completely different dynamic on this map, and it'd be interesting to see how RKKA basically adapt to that throughout the game.
I think RKKA would probably be RKKA even would be a little surprised almost if they did that, because like when we saw it last game, they didn't even they weren't aggressive at all on the bot side. I mean, neither was Razman, but they literally pinged every single building and had a squad of infantry in it. It was the most passive defense I've ever seen in probably any sector of a game we've casted. I can't think of anyone like it where literally every building was just garrisoned.
Yeah, well, they had like a couple of units of reserve infantry or a couple of units of Moshutsen in every building. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. But then again, it almost seemed like an impenetrable defense. As soon as Razman started walking across with those Canadian rifle, they got absolutely annihilated. So it did kind of work out. But it's interesting to see Razman with a Chinook. What do you think's in that?
The Chinook, that's interesting. We might see. I can't remember, is that the Canadian one or the. You know what? I'll just look at his deck. That's the fastest way.
Yeah,
fastest way to do it.
You go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
I'll look at the rest of these units. How many tanks do we have?
Australian SASR.
Ah, okay, nice.
But
we don't actually have many heavy tanks. Do you see like a single Charlie 2? Like,
well, he doesn't because
he doesn't have Charlie 2s. Oh, what a shame.
What a joke. You're joking me with this. But he has Challenger Marksmans, which are the best AA in game, so... Yeah. I mean, does anyone else have an AA piece that can take a shot from an Akula? I think so. But on the other side, we do see some of those OBR 1989s, which Putin has been very fond of. They are quite a nice unit, I think, and they're quite cost effective. I mean, honestly, I don't really use them too much. I haven't really looked into them. So I can't really tell you, to be honest, quite how cost effective they are.
Oh, some Zalos coming out from Putin. Love those.
Zalo is really interesting because it's kind of that unit that, if you use them right, it can be devastating in an opening, but if you don't use it correctly, you're just wasting points. Because the problem with it is that its accuracy on the move is only 20%. So you need to make sure it's stationary when it actually fires, because then it gains it.
Yeah, they definitely need that attack move order that actually stops the vehicle when it fires. But here we go. We do have the Chinook moving across with the Puma HC1 towards Echo. Looks like we've got a recon squad heading to Gulf for Razman, and Nandemann is bringing up a cannon. A small contingent of AH7s are heading to India, with a couple of those probably having SAS and obviously the command infantry there. Not many helicopters at all for Amity and Putin. Looks like they are relying a lot on these APCs, of course, because of the mechanized deck. And Putin is using a Mi-24V on this bottom side to stop any helicopters getting into Alpha. That's
a bit of a waste, though, to be honest, the Mi-24V, because he's kept it so far back. There's no way on this earth that, you know, Razman's anti-air would be there in time. And the V is honestly, I think, significantly better in my mind than almost every other, or at least the majority of NATO AA options. So they have the Gazelle Celtic, I think, the only one they have, and the Lynx 3, although I'm not sure if you get a Lynx 3 in mechanized. Razman is making some probes with the SAS and SASR, which is nice to see. And it looks like he might actually push with these, because he does have those Canadian rifles. He does have, I'm going to assume commandos in Commandos 90 in those M13A1 3050s.
So, nice. What you're saying about the Mi-24V, yeah, it doesn't make sense at all not to push that up at the start. Like, even if he did bump into the Celtics, it's likely that the Mi-24V would kill them both if there was even two of them, because if one missed the missiles, then that Mi-24V only needs to hit one on each to kill them both. So, well, I mean, just pushing it up could have done so much damage to, especially the landing infantry.
That's true. The thing to remember is that the Celtics have 4 HP, if I'm not mistaken. If it's 6, I apologise, but I think it's 4. And well, actually, I think they've got the same HP as the which is 4, the same as the Gazelles. And that'll get one shot by the Igla. So if the Mi-24V gets one shot off, it'll kill one, and then I mean, it's kind of pointless to talk about because it didn't happen, but I just think
Yeah.
it's a bit of a waste of points,
Did
to
you
be
see
honest.
how fast Nandemann fast moved his infantry and AA? Like, he actually fast moved it past the centre town between India and Hotel, and that's always a very risky thing to do. But he managed to get those XA-180s with the Stormers into the bottom side forest in Hotel. That's actually crazy. And the Hachi Nanashiki is now peppering the Moskaya Pehota. Those really fast units getting there and paying off really well, because obviously Putin and Amity, they do have much slower units, and those tracks not really paying off at the moment. The Hachi Nanashiki did go down to the HGM, but the Volkskamjäger are going to continue, and the Lynx AH7s are going to harass the hell out of those ASU 85s. Sorry, voice crack. It's been a long day. And
Oh,
Gazelle
there's a
Cannon.
Smirch coming in.
It's going around the backside. Smirch, yeah, of course. That's not really going to hit much by the looks of things, though.
I have to say, one of the things that Nande does absolutely incredibly, better than any other player that I know, is play with speed. His playstyle is very fast, aggressive infantry pushes, and I don't think I know of a player who does them quite as well as he does. And that's why he's such a good player, because he's got amazing micro skills, sure, but this is like, it's such a shock and awe tactic actually, because he's already pushing Ambati onto the back foot. Ambati's having to defend. And I mean, yes, this is what happened last time, but you have to hand it to Nande, because this really is kind of quite a brutal strategy, because it's just shoving it right into the opponent. But let's take a look on the bot side though, because Razman is pushing through.
A MiG-25 BM just came in and took out the Challenger marksman just below Gulf. That was firing on the Zalesnisi in order to provide fire support. That Centurion ABRA just chunked those Motschützen, and there are some Canadian rifles seriously making some good progress into Alpha right now. That's pretty scary, especially considering this marksman on the road has picked up a perfect position to wreck those infantry squads, and that's going to leave a town sector available for those commandos to jump into and take control of, and that's going to make it even harder for Amity to push Razman back out. So that's quite an interesting move from Razman. He's made a lot of progress in the top side here. Nandemann still got the presence in the top side forest, but not really pushing it too hard anymore. He's got a couple of STRV 103Cs coming up to reinforce. The great thing about those is they have the 15 round per minute, and they are very good at killing APCs and infantry in the open. But yeah, down in this bottom side of Gulf, these buildings are going to be eventually overrun by the Centurion, AVRE and the Canadian Rifles.
I have to say, this is one of the biggest problems with having a defensive line like Ambati has. Because there's no flexibility in the defensive line, he isn't bringing these squads to help his other squads, so he's always fighting at disadvantage. Because Razman will have, well, he's got what, 4 squads commandos, SAS and SASR, and his transports, and Challenger marksman. And he's going to be fighting 1 or 2 squads at the same time. But Ambati actually has like 6 squads of Motschützen, but they're literally just sitting and waiting to be attacked.
Yeah, I think he's concerned that there would be infantry from more sides, but you can see they've done that sort of diagonal defensive line from Hotel to Gulf again, and they are maintaining that. That is holding back Nandemann at Hotel. But they've also brought in loads of reinforcements now for this bottom side of Alpha. All these SPW-50 PKs coming down and across the bridges now. A couple of BTR ATAs joining the fray. So that should be interesting to see if those Motschützen can really sort of start to force back these commandos and Canadian rifles that have almost dug in Alpha. And I'm also wanting to see if Razman will risk a command into Alpha in order to gain a bigger lead.
I mean, I don't think now is the right time, because I think he just wants to spend as many points as he can just pumping units in. I mean, not to mention the fact that the middle area is actually completely open for Razman to attack. There's 2 squads of Motschützen, some Moskaya, and a BMP-1, which is most likely going to die to this Chieftain Mark V. Whether he'll have the gumption to actually do that and push is up to him, obviously. But F111C coming in, and unfortunately just missing those Motschützen. Nice micro by Ambati to pull them out of the town.
Yeah, he got them out of there. Razman with that Challenger marksman did manage to destroy some Motschützen very easily. and used up a lot of ammunition. It's only got 73 ammo left, but could still inflict a lot of damage onto some of the infantry there. Commandos 90 are stunned and being wrecked by the Moskaya Pehota 90.
I mean, it was a very nice Bortino strike from Putin. That's really kind of turned the tables a little bit. Oh, a firing computer reset on that T-72B. Unfortunate.
Challenger marksman though is retreating from the fire. It didn't get destroyed. I think I would like to see him kind of try and get that out of there if he could, but some reinforcing Canadian rifles are there in their TH-495s. Those Commando 90s are going to go down any second, but some reinforcing Canadian rifles will hopefully be able to do something against the Moskaya. Otherwise Razman is going to have to basically stop his attack, because at the moment things not looking too great down here. He's being overwhelmed by Mochusson. Up in the top, however, there isn't much left. Nandemann has got a perfect position with some infantry in the bottom side forest at Hotel. Infantry in the top side forest. I think he's just got to wait for some reinforcements, and he could maybe try and make a push into Hotel because there's not actually too much there to defend. Whereas Razman, he's providing ample distraction in this bottom side. These Canadian rifles, although they aren't really lasting very long, are still doing quite a lot of damage to the APCs especially, and a really nice bombing strike coming in there onto some of those Mochusson.
Nande snuck a nice little SAS squad into this top side, although I think he's got to be careful. If he gets spotted, and we'll just die, to be honest.
He's making the death run across the road, and it looks like they did just get spotted.
So he just missed the
the Mochusson are probably going to be dropped out as soon as Amity notices that. If he notices that, it doesn't look like he did.
Doesn't.
And both those Mochusson squad will probably get slaughtered. Yes, they will.
That was a nice pickup by the SAS. That 84 launcher has a lovely 20 rate of fire, so it can take out both of them very quickly, and Amity just didn't notice. And now that gives him the, now he's got a bit of interruption down there. That gives him the chance to push his forces forward in the hotel sector, because now Amity has to actually deal with this.
Yeah,
although
so
to be honest, it will probably go down quite quickly.
What's interesting is that Amity moved out his command infantry in Alpha, which could possibly give the game away as to where the command infantry was. Bombing strike coming in from the F-16 with the two 1,000 kilogram bombs. Is that going to affect the Moskaya? I don't think it is. Oh, it did manage to get the stun, which does mean these Canadian rifles, one of them only worried, might do a lot of damage to the Moskaya there, and some reinforcing Canadian rifles coming down the road, if they jump into the building next to them, could absolutely slaughter the Moskaya. Centurion AVRE still moving forwards through the topside forest, and those Centurion AVRE and the Chieftain Mark V trying to take care of those Mochusson in that town there, but both of them being wrecked by the RPG-7.
This Moskaya squad, poor guys have been, now the autocannons from the TH-495s there as well. Completely destroyed them. Up on the top side, Nande's still pushing. He has some Gewehrmen in those 186 NOs, along with all of the Stormers, SASR and Fusilier 90s. And he actually has a squad of SAS that's managed to get into the forest on the kind of ridge line, the left of Gulf, which could be very nice if he chooses to sort of put a little bit of a diversionary attack in there.
Yeah, I think Nandemann has been building up his forces to make one large push, and now the smoke's gone down. It looks like he's going to basically force his way towards that compound in the centre of Hotel, and if he can get his hands on that, it's going to give him so much pressure in order to take over the sector. And this bombing strike coming in from the F-11C is going to land almost on the command vehicle, but not quite. Stunned the OSA AK. Did that mean that he got out alive? I'm not entirely sure.
There's another bombing strike coming in though from this F-16A, and I think that's gonna narrowly miss that 1 HP OSA.
Yeah, I mean, that was looking pretty good with those bombing strikes, but they were just off target. And now this, look at the Gewehrmen, they just got wrecked by the ASU-85s as they tried to cross the open there towards the smoked town. I think the smoke was possibly misplaced because it didn't actually block the line of sight from the supporting vehicles.
I mean, what you really want to do, I think. Well, actually, I'll hold that thought as this S16A comes in because that looks like it might be right on where the CV is. Oh, narrowly misses. Nicely moved away from Amber T. Just if he'd been a second slower on moving that CV, he would have lost it. But I think you definitely want to block the enemy's fire support and use your own fire support. So he should have probably smoked in a line kind of parallel to the town he was attacking to cover off the fire support. But you know, it can be quite difficult, especially with so many of these ASU 85 sort of dotting around, because you don't really know where they are until they start firing.
Yeah.
I don't think he had sight of them.
Another combined push coming in from Razman just below Golf now. He's brought in some Commando 90s. They are supported by their APCs and the Centurion AVRE, providing the long fire support. We've got the TH-495s with the Canadian rifles coming up. The SAS squads and SASR are coming behind a lot of the Mote-Schutzen and cleaning them out. You can see a lot of these Mote-Schutzen squads died very quickly because they were such low health. And that's going to just allow those infantry squads to continue to push past the bottom side of Gulf. An aircraft going down, the F-16 of the blue side is going to be shot down by the red team.
I have to say, this is another great example of just how nice the Canadian Rifles 85 are with their 15-point transport. Because to put it in perspective, a Canadian Rifle 85 squad and their transport is the same price as one squad of Moscow Pehota 90. And personally, I think that's just a bit of a better deal, really.
Well, it depends, because Moscow can completely outclass like a Canadian Rifle squad and its APC pretty easily.
Well, not in that case.
Because, well, like
case.
if the Moscow get in range of the APC and actually are told to target it, the APC dies and then the Canadian Rifle are outclassed very easily. So here we see,
one of those things. I think
we see Nandemann sorting out his smoke again in order to make another push. I think this time he's going to try to smoke the town less and smoke the fire support more, and then go for another straight push into that middle town there. But he's going to have to get some troops into position first. Some Stollies coming down. They will have
this Bradley.
The SASR.
Yeah, this Bradley's going to kill the T-72B, I think. Yep, goes down.
And where was
unfortunate. That? The Bradley on the top side, the Recon Bradley. Now this thing is devastating because it does have medium stealth. So it can fire that missile without being seen, basically.
Yeah, so it looks like that's going to kill the BMP-1. Yep. And looks like Amity is now pushing some Mote-Schutzen towards the SAS and the SASR that are occupying the buildings just to the left side of Gulf. But Canadian Rifle 85 is basically collapsing on some Mote-Schutzen that are left over in the forest there. And Alpha's slowly having less and less Mote-Schutzen defending it, as a lot of these reinforcements coming across the bridge now are being committed to flushing out the infantry in those compounds.
I think this is definitely the time for Razman to try and put a counter-cap on CV, but as I say that, this push on the top side, they've cleared out a lot of enemy units. There's still a decent presence from Putin there, but definitely a lot less than there was, and a lot weaker than it was last game as well on this map.
Yeah, well, this time round, Amity and Putin aren't working together in order to force back Nandemann, because Amity is so occupied with throwing Mote-Schutzen and reserve infantry at Razman in the bottom side. So Putin's taking a lot of the slack in the top lane, in the top
lane
side, and unfortunate there that Nandemann didn't drop those Gvarman out earlier, because they would have been able to do a lot more damage. Now Nandemann's command vehicle
narrowly going to escape.
Narrowly going to escape the Smirch, but it was good that he was counter-capping that, because neutralizing that was giving them the +2 lead that's brought them up to 91 points, and he almost, Nandemann, managed to get a hold of those buildings, unfortunately just forced out by the T-72B and the recon infantry there.
Yeah, definitely a very good job. I mean, what's happened this game is we've had kind of Razman really handing it to Amber T in the spot side, both mech decks kind of slamming against each other. And both mech decks doing pretty well, to be honest. I mean, I think their KDs will probably be somewhere similar. It wouldn't surprise me anyway if they were quite similar. And what it's meant is it's allowed Nande to really grasp a nice hold on Hotel. Not a commanding hold. It's, you know, he is contesting rather than controlling, but at the same time, you know, you've got to hand it to them. They're doing a lot better than the last time they played on this map.
Yeah, well, I feel that change of deck for Razman has really helped him out. I'm actually quite surprised to see the Commonwealth mech do so well against the Moat Schutzen, because generally, like, Moat Schutzen can just overwhelm any deck. But in this case, it seems that his Canadian rifles have been doing quite well for themselves. The fire support he's been using with the Centurion AVREs and also the Chieftain Mark 5s have been doing quite a lot of damage to those squads and helping out significantly. And then of course you get the F111Cs, which would do a lot of damage as well. So I mean, when you think about it, it does sort of work out, but generally Moat Schutzen do overrun other decks quite easily.
Well, it's all about the transports. It's all about those BMP1s, because they are probably the most cost-effective transports. You know, 10 points for a pretty good gun. 2 front armor, which is okay, not amazing, but still okay. And a really nice shock infantry squad in the Moat Schutzen. That being said though, Commonwealth Mechanized, since the buffs to the Australian infantry as well, and the fantastic price efficiency of the Canadian rifles and their transports, they've become a real good deck to use. And also, those Centurion AVREs have been absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, they've been doing really, really well. In this top side, the M3A2 Bradley took out 2 ASUs without revealing itself, which was great. And that has removed even more of the fire support in Hotel, leaving it much more exposed for Nandemann to attack. He's just got to be careful. I think he needs something a little bit more heavy in order to attack those tanks that are defending, like the T-72B OBR. He needs something to take that out, because as soon as he can take that out, he can move forwards with the rest of his armor. He won't have to worry about the ASU 85s anymore, and he can just get on with taking over Hotel. But that recon infantry now gone out of that small town, and that will allow his SASR or Stormers to move in and take that over. Down at Alpha, he's definitely made a lot of ground. Still surprised not to see a infantry command or something there in order to contest Alpha, because that would be another easy +2 in my opinion. But these Eric squads from Razman below Gulf still trying to hold off this push of the SPZ BMP1s.
I think what we've seen from Razman is just such a beautiful marriage of the different capabilities of Commonwealth kind of infantry. He's been using the Erixes to full effect, kind of a nice area denial, and also good against infantry as well. He's been using the Fusilier 90s with their amazing RPG and kind of forest fighting. He's been using the Canadian rifles for their cost efficiency, and he's been using the commandos and the SASR and the SAS as the infantry killing machines that they are. And then that's not even mentioning the Challenger Marksmen, the Centurion AVREs he's been using, which again have just been really well used. I have to hand it to Razman. I've been really impressed with his play this game.
Yeah, also Nandemann really handing it to Putin in this top side. He's finally broken down the rest of the units, just forcing Gavarman against him and taking over that town. Looks like in the bottom side as well, SASR moving in towards Amber T's command infantry, and once they are spotted, well, they're not going to last very long, as they will get chased down. Moat Schutzen trying to make their way back in order to defend that squad, but the SAS are deadly efficient and will manage to kill the command infantry before they can be saved. So Alpha is now, neutralized, and that +7 lead is going to add up extremely quickly unless the Amber T and Putin surrender beforehand. But it looks like this might go all the way to the 500 points very, very quickly. That MiG-25BM, wow, incredibly close to taking out both anti-air there, but the KA-52 stealing a kill with its own anti-radar missiles. And look at that hotel fully under the control of Nandemann, and that's just giving them so many points right now. And the Smerch coming in again, that might save the day for a little while if one of those Smerch rockets hits the right location.
I mean, saving the day, but they're still -5 down, so...
Yeah, still a +5 lead for Nandemann, and well, put that back to +7 as the Smerch completely missed. And I love the composition of forces. Oh, he might finally get rid of the pesky T-72, and he does. But yeah, the composition of like the recon he's using there, the Volkskamjägers and the recon tank, is just perfect for holding that position. Razman down in the bottom side, you were talking about his composition of forces. It's worked out really, really well. The Commando 90s, the Canadian Rifles, the Fusilier 90s, the Centurion AVRE, just all done their jobs perfectly in this bottom side, and allowed him to get an advantage down there, finally bringing up a contesting command vehicle for Alpha in the form of a Leopard AS1. But only 25 more points to go and a few more ticks. And it looks like Razman and Nandemann
get there in time?
Will manage to get one back on RKKA after previously losing to them.
And what that means now is that they are the first seed of Group A. And yeah, I was right. The KD is actually very, very close. It was sheer pressure that won them that game. It wasn't specifically
So after 24 minutes and 19 seconds, Nandemann are victorious over RKKA in this tiebreaker, which does set Nandemann as first seed of Group A, which is basically determining who they will fight against in the semi-finals. So Razman and Nandemann as Nandemann, and RKKA with Ambity and Putin both go through to the next round, but yeah, Nandemann go through as first seed, so they basically go against the second seed of Group B, and that's why we had this game. But yeah, like you were saying, the kills and losses incredibly close. It looks like you were right with the pressure game. Maybe the points misallocated as well a bit. Maybe one side focused on air too much or something like that, because at the end of the game, the blue side definitely had more forces on the map.
Well, the thing that happened was Putin was relatively reserved with his units, you can see, because he got quite a good KD. But the problem was, Ambity just got kind of annihilated a little bit. Putin got pushed back, Ambity got pretty harshly rebuffed in Alpha, and really, really nicely done. It was a great example of how you don't have to have an amazing KD to win a game of Conquest, because by keeping up the aggression and keeping it going straight through, they just fought through line after line of Ambity's infantry, pushed back Putin's tanks, and at the end of the day, Ambity and Putin, they probably had the capital on the map to actually make a play somewhere, but they were always on the back foot. And when you're on the back foot, as we all know, it's so hard to actually come back.
I think you mentioned in the fact that Amity spread himself out a lot with that defensive line, and Putin as well. That's also what caused them to lose out, because a lot of the infantry was not necessarily engaged when it maybe should have been, and I think because they were being very defensive in their playstyle from the beginning, it didn't work out this time, because it was almost exactly the same tactics as they tried before, but then Nandemann changed their tactics and worked their way around it. So I think that's basically how they changed the outcome of this game compared to the last.